Hello, Stingness here with Pro LOL Guide, bringing you another champion guide. Evelynn is a great champion. She brings a stun to the team and great damage output with insane survivability and unpredictable ganks. She fits in perfectly with the metagame. Of course, her biggest benefit is forcing your opponent to buy oracles or suffering a quick death for even being the slightest bit overextended. So let's go over her abilities. Evelynn's passive is Determined Killer, which reduces 50% minion damage from non-neutral minions. It's pretty boring, but at least you don't have to worry about dying to minions. Evelynn's Q is Hate Spike. This ability deals damage to the two closest enemies to Evelynn and is on a very short cooldown. This ability, combined with Trinity Force, leads to an insane amount of damage output. Evelynn's W is Shadow Walk. What this ability does is make Evelynn turn invisible for a short amount of time. Her next attack or ability stuns the target hit. Use this for roaming, getting past wards, or camping a lane. This ability is good for almost anything. You should note that turning invisible has a 2-second cast time and is increased every time she is hit. Evelynn's E is a Ravage. This ability does a decent amount of damage and reduces your opponent's armor and magic resist by a good amount, which leads to some ridiculous damage output. Evelynn's ultimate is Malice and Spite. This ability is Eve's bread and butter. There is no denying it. This ultimate is what makes everyone so scared of Eve. What it does is increase her attack speed and movement speed by a decent amount. It has a short cooldown and comes off cooldown every time an enemy champion is killed. If that's not enough, when you get a kill or an assist, it heals you for a percentage of the opponent's total life, making Eve almost impossible to focus without some sort of healing reduction. You're going to want to level your Hate Spike over your Shadow Walk, but your Shadow Walk over your Ravage, and of course your ultimate whenever available. Getting a second point in Shadow Walk at level 5 or 7 is completely fine. The increased stealth time from leveling this ability is really helpful. Let's go over her runes and masteries. I use Armor Pen, Quints and Reds, Dodge Yellows, and Flat Mana Regen Blues. Using this page, you'll have 25 Armor Pen at level 4. That combined with your Ravage will result in you almost completely ignoring your opponent's armor at low levels. As for your masteries go, since Jungle Eve is the most viable playstyle, I go a defensive build of 0-21-9, picking up Preservation and Tenacity in the defensive tree, along with Utility Mastery in the utility tree. I don't like picking up Improved Smite in the offensive tree, although 5 gold is good, but in my opinion it doesn't outweigh 15% debuff duration. As for summoners go, I use Smite and Revive to jungle, since it's the fastest way to jungle. But if I'm forced to lane, I stick with Teleport and Ghost. If you press your W and start channeling your teleport, you'll teleport while invisible, leading to some pretty great ganks from wards or minions. Now that we got all the pre-game stuff out of the way, let's get into this game. Since jungling is the best way to play Eve, we are going to start off with Cloth Armor and 5 health potions. Lane, just play defensively and try to get some farm. Using your teleport to gank overextended lanes, start with the same items though, and build in the same order. You're going to start with your Wraith, smiting the big one and hate spiking down the little ones. As you're killing the last minions, you're going to start drinking your health potion and heading over to the wolf camp. On those and head to the golems and get one to around 500 health and then switch to the other. Smite the 500 health golem when smite comes off cooldown, which should be within 5 seconds of getting the golem to 500 health. Next, you're going to head to the Lizard Elder and kill the 2 little lizards and die to the Lizard Elder. You should have 1 potion left at this point. Buy your boots and revive heading back to the lizard. Your smite should come off cooldown as the lizard gets into smiteable HP. Now that you've cleared your jungle and have gotten lizard, you're going to be ready for your first gank. Picking which lane to gank can sometimes be tricky. Try to help out a lane if they have a hard lane opponent, like a Tark or Scion. If no lanes are really having problems, just gank anyone overextended. Buy Wriggle's Lantern when available and keep your ward on Dragon. If your Wriggles for some reason is off cooldown, you're doing something wrong. Mid-game comes around, you're going to hopefully have your Wriggle's Lantern, Sork Shoes, or Mork Treads, depending on the amount of CC your opponent has, and Trinity Force. With Trinity Force, you'll find you can take almost any champion 1v1, and this should not be ignored. Rip through anyone who puts themselves out of position. Make your opponent think they need oracles. Be careful of vision wards around the map or in the lanes. It is sometimes acceptable to buy an oracle yourself just for the amount of vision wards your opponent will buy. After your Trinity Force is complete, build a Gwynsu's or Madreds, depending on how tanky the enemy team is. Your last 2 item slots are reserved for defensive items. Telling you which ones to get is impossible, since your needs will be different every game. I'm just going to give you a rundown of some good defensive items for Eve and what situation you'll need them in. Banshee's Veil is good for a heavy AP nuke team. Keep in mind, if they have a lot of spammable abilities to break the Banshees, its worth is a lot lower. Force of Nature is good for a heavy AP team, which centers around fast, small abilities like Vlad and Kennen. So grab this if there are too many spammable abilities on the team for Banshee's Veil. Thornmail is of course for heavy AD teams. Keep in mind, just because the enemy is auto-attacking you quickly doesn't mean he's dealing AD damage. Characters like Jax and Akali are mostly magic damage. Guardian Angel is a good choice if you're being focused hard with lots of CC or facing a massive AoE team. Frozen Heart is great if your opponent has a lot of champions based on high physical damage and attack speed. Randuin's Omen is good for melee with a lot of slows or escapes. Hex Drinker is good if you need some extra damage along with some magic resist and can't afford a lot. Quicksilver Sash is mainly good for champions like Mordekaiser, Swain, and Malzahar, that most of their damage output comes from debuffs. It's good for a massive CC team as well. And of course, Abyssal Scepter is fine if you're running a heavy AP team and the enemy team is picking up a lot of magic resistance. Now that we got that out of the way, let me show you a few tips and tricks with Eve. Remember, how you move around the map and who you are ganking will determine your worth on the team. Hide in bushes and teleport around the map. Keep the opponent guessing where you are. Don't be predictable. Remember, they can't see you. They don't know you actually ran towards the enemy base to get away, or you're sticking around with 200 HP waiting for them to overextend. If you come out of stealth using Hate Spike, it'll stun both targets hit by Hate Spike. It's always a nice thing to keep in mind. Although single targeting with Ravage or an auto attack for a stun is sometimes better due to the unreliable targeting of Hate Spike. Don't forget, with Eve, tower diving has never been easier. Your ultimate will heal you after your kill to ensure the tower will not be able to finish you off as you retreat. I hope you've enjoyed this guide. If it helped, go ahead and leave a comment giving me your opinion. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and thumbs up button. Good luck and have fun.